Welcome to Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech. Today, we're delighted to have our guest, Brian Sanya Mondoh. Did I pronounce it right,
Yes, you did,
Brian?
Brian Sanya Mondoh.
Great,
Thank you
amazing.
very much.
Who is the founder and CEO of Blockchain Lex Group? We have a lot to talk about, and Crypto Mondays. I like the brand name, Crypto Mondays Caribbean. Oh, Crypto Mondays Caribbean. That's the
Yeah,
brand name.
because it's part
Okay.
of the chapter. It's a chapter of a bigger community called Crypto Mondays.
Amazing. Brian, I know there's a lot to mention here and to dive into. First, I want to thank you for joining us. And could you
You're
start by
welcome.
introducing yourself and provide us a bit about your insights into your tech world and background and expertise?
Okay, so I'm basically what you call an attorney in the US, but I'm a barrister. So I'm a qualified barrister and an attorney in the Caribbean. And my practice is predominantly legal tech, commercial, and civil law. And along that, I do lots of blockchain and cryptocurrency related consultancy work. So, with that, I'm the founder of the Caribbean chapter of Crypto Mondays and also of my own consultancy known as Blockchain Lex Group, which is like an expert legal tech consultancy firm.
So, what's Barsta? Is that equivalent to being an attorney in the States? Is that what it is in the UK,
That is it.
Barsta? I
That
don't
that
mean
is
to
it
be
for
ignorant, but
barrister.
for our listeners and viewers, Barsta is an attorney. Well, it is an attorney, but in the terms in the UK. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And in the English common law countries as well. So like Australia, they also use barrister, yeah. It's just attorney basically.
Are you certified attorney, or should I say, or do you hold like certificate or in the UK, in the US, in Africa, in many places,
So
or
I'm
just
I'm admitted in the UK, but I'm not practicing in the UK.
uh-huh.
But I'm qualified and I practice in Trinidad and Tobago. And with
hmm
my Trinidadian qualification, I could practice throughout the Commonwealth Caribbean.
So your legal knowledge and specialty, you
Yeah.
focus on tech, pretty much crypto and blockchain. This is
Yes,
it. This is really
predominantly,
where you,
yes, because I'm also
amazing.
conducting my PhD in that very region as well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I can see it's going to be an extremely insightful interview, Brian. Okay, let's start. Please, you know what? Let's start with Monster Radio that you started in Kenya. What
Right.
really inspired you, motivated you to start a radio station, or Monster Radio in Kenya, and your focus on crypto technology, but the law side of it, the legal side of it.
Okay, so let's take it step by step. And if I lose some of the
Please.
questions, uh, you'll remind me. But let's start off with Monster Radio. So
Yes.
I used to be a DJ. Okay, so I
hmm
still know how to DJ, and I have mad skills. With all modesty, I have to say, like scratching on the turntables and all that, mad skills.
So you
But
know how to play the vinyl, the 12
of
inch.
course, I know how to play vinyl. What you mean? I only DJ on vinyl, actually.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a
Okay, so
vinyl DJ.
you got the two technique turntable, two or
The two
three.
techniques and a mixer in the middle. That's it.
That's it. The
And you
old
do it
school.
Philly style, where the
Yes.
turntables are facing the other way. DJ
And
just
and you got all the vinyls on the milk cranes.
no, but now you don't have to have it in the crates because you have DJ software. We're not
Uh-huh.
going to name drop the names of the softwares because it's going to be like promotional content right now. But yeah,
Mm.
nowadays you just have a laptop, it has all the software, and you're good to go. Actually, this very laptop I'm using for work and for school and everything is my DJing laptop as well.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, Monster Radio. I was a DJ at that time. I used to DJ on TV with an outfit called Black Star Entertainment, and I was like, I need to consolidate my mixes in one place. I need people who are looking for me, not to just wait for me on Saturdays when the show is playing, but to have a continuity of my relationship with them. So I spoke to my friend Jazz, had recently just arrived from the States, and he
Mhm.
was into doing podcasts. And he was like, "Yo, guess what? Uh, let's do this, Moby. My DJ name is Moby." So he was like, "Yo, Moby, come on, let's do this." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it, Monster Radio." And also, we were tired of trying to package our shows and sell them to terrestrial radio stations because there's so much red tape and bureaucracy. Like, you have to know people to have your mixes played on air, and also what they want to pay you is not deserving, you know. So when you recognize yourself as a brand and you know what you want to do, you literally go for it. So we went straight for it, and we became the first, literally, online radio station in Eastern Central Africa. And we were syndicating in Rwanda, Burundi, all over the place, even in the UK. So yeah, that was a really big achievement.
Amazing, amazing. So pretty much, how this whole thing transferred? An attorney, radio, and then music. Obviously, okay, your love for being a DJ, and then to blockchain and crypto and all of that.
Okay, so this is what happened. It was transition into law after DJing, and then when the DJ platform was growing, we started doing events, and then this is where blockchain comes in. So let me start off with the other one first. So when we got into the world of events, like, you do concepts for brands. I'm not going to name brands, but you do concepts for brands who are interested in what we call branded entertainment. So they take your ideas and they say, there are other applicants for this, for this gig. We didn't like your concept per se, so we decided to go with the next person. But then you come to realize it's your concept that's being executed. And then, appointing lawyers was so expensive. It's very expensive in Kenya. And as you know, rising talent, you can't afford that. So it's just like, you know what, again, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to sell my assets and my savings, and my parents help me. And they're like, you know what, go and do this. And my mom, anyway, she always had this thing like, you always have to think ahead, because there's always younger DJs coming up. And let's say if you break your hand and whatever and you can't DJ anymore, like, you always need to develop yourself further. So yeah, that was useful. And then I branched into law. Now, we during the time we were hosting events, basically, again, at the points of entry, you're losing money. You don't quite know how the ticket sales are. Maybe somebody's pocketing some money at the point of entrance or at the point of sales, where when you have vendors, people are probably stashing and giving you less. So around that time, Ethereum, the blockchain, was coming out. So there was Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was like, people quite didn't understand what Bitcoin could do in its actual uh, uh, agenda. We quite didn't understand it. But Ethereum came about with what was called smart contracts. So we wanted to see how we could use smart contracts to secure our platform from fraud. So that was my experimentation with blockchain and smart contracts. And then I just loved it. And during the COVID period, literally the world stopped. And I started looking at it this way, like, everything is now technologically geared. So, what can we do with this technology? And how does this technology now interact with the real world? Because some of these concepts were very like, technology is here, your smart contracts are going to do this. Probably smart contracts are going to eliminate the need of lawyers and whatever. People didn't quite understand it. So I thought and was like, the legal world and the IT world could benefit from having a lawyer who understands the world of regulatory compliance and the world of tech as well. So that brought me into the world of blockchain and smart contracts.
Hmm. I'm impressed. I mean, you do have an amazing entrepreneurial mindset, and the hunger for knowledge, and just keep evolving and just keep elevating yourself. Pretty
It's
amazing,
just
Brian.
the
I'm impressed.
it's just it's thank you very much. It's just the hunger, first of all. You're very right. The hunger, the ambition, and dreaming big.
Yes.
Like I don't have a cap to my dreams. Like I'm wild in my dreams and imagination, and I just don't believe in somebody like dominating over me. Like I know
Yes.
where there's a will, there's a way. Like just go get it and do it. Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. Um, what did you learn as a business development manager, and what were the key takeaways?
So first of all, disappointment, risk, because at times people are not seeing your vision the way you are. So I was biz dev, I was the groundsman, I was the CEO, like I was the DJ. Literally you're everything. You have to do everything and you have to learn the skills. So you have to be patient and you have to understand that your vision is different. And some
Yes.
people could say no to you, but it's probably maybe a bit too early or it's not your time yet, but it doesn't mean your idea is bad. So just know you will never see the same vision with other people. So just risk it, build it, be patient, and wait for the opportune time. Or just do it, and then if it doesn't work out, you're going to be like, what the hell? At least I tried. Yeah. So,
Correct.
and you can apply that in the real world right now. So, let's say
Yeah.
with the client relation skills, like talking to people, networking, it's the same on the legal side. As a self employed lawyer, so as barristers, you're self employed. You're not
Oh
like
yeah.
an
Always.
attorney with a
Yes.
law firm in private practice. Sorry, in employed practice. So you have to know how to network. You need to respect people from whatever walk of life, however senior or celebrities or wealthy people or the small person, because it's probably the small person who knows the incredibly affluent person, and it's that relationship that takes you to the next step. So like you go to court, you meet the court ushers, you be nice to them. It's just about being a nice person. It's not trying to be something else. It's just like, is, is this me? Like, like you just have to be the real you and let
Yes.
people just, not everybody will like you. Just be you, but respect people and just have make people comfortable working with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. What would you say I would say the most valuable skills that you developed in your legal practice?
Okay. Case reading is very important because at times you see you see lawyers with big books and all that. You don't need all that. You need to know how to find the information. Timekeeping, because in practice you probably have 5 files that you're handling at the same time, all the different competing deadlines. Advocacy is crucial, especially as a barrister, because you see in the UK and other Commonwealth countries, you have the barrister solicitor divide. Solicitors don't do advocacy, courtroom advocacy. So
Hmm.
barristers do courtroom advocacy. So it's important that you're confident and you're articulate and persuasive so that your points are accepted in court, or when you're negotiating with the other side, the lawyer for the other side, or the client on the other side, like it just gives you that confidence. So networking, exposure to the different networks. So in England, we have things you call Inns of Court. It's basically a society that you belong to as a barrister, and they're very traditional. So you go there, you meet people from different walks of life as well.
Yeah.
And, it's just about being comfortable talking to different people and appreciating that there's a different view as to what you're saying, and at times uh, being rejected for like applications for jobs and all that, or like it comes in so many different faces. So being a barrister is a character building exercise. Yeah.
Um, you started a blockchain Lex Group.
Yes.
Yes. And what, what made you start that? I said, hey, I want to start blockchain Lex Group. What opportunities did you see, and how did you see all that evolving in our times now? And I think blockchain is even growing more and more and more. Plus, having that, in order to get involved in such a thing, you got to have some kind of a tech background, some kind of a, beside the love of tech, say, oh, I love technology, I want to be involved. You got to be somehow inclined technologically, to run such a, an operation,
Yeah.
blockchain Lex Group. Yeah.
So
Beside
again,
building it, I mean, building it also, that's another step.
yeah. So from
Yes.
my background again, in the events industry, dealing with techies and developers.
In the events, in the event industry.
Yeah, because you want to develop an app. You want to have the best point of sale device. You want to work with those cashless
Hmm.
wristbands and all that. So with that, I could see the problems that event managers have,
Yeah.
and most people can't afford legal consultation, or the lawyers that are in the field are going to advise you basically on, let's say, contractual principles or basic, you know, commercial principles. It's not specialized. So when COVID came, again, COVID was literally a blessing in disguise. I'm terribly sorry to say that because people lost their lives and it really messed up the world. But that time, it was like everything was like in the Matrix, slow motion. So it gives you time to think. So I started attending all the conferences that I could never have attended before, because first of all they were free and they were from all the biggest players out there like
Did you
IBM.
attend him virtually
Yeah,
or physically?
virtually.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
virtually. So I was always during COVID, I was online like the whole day, attending IBM, Bitcoin,
Everything.
Ethereum, whatever it is. Like I was just in there. Are there going to be knowledgeable people in that room? Yeah, I want to be there. So I realized there was literally a gap. The lawyers who are there are still being very traditional. So somebody, let's say, is moving from family practice, and now because there's technology known as blockchain, they want to move and advise on that. It's not as easy, and because of that, I was like, I need to be a specialist in this. So I did the courses. I attended the MOOCs. I did courses on Coursera and Bitcoin Association and all that. I literally did everything. And then after the world started opening up, I moved from Trinidad back to the UK, and I started now going for in real life events where you're meeting like the real like faces behind this technology. So
Hmm.
understanding how people are doing it and understanding like the shortcoming in the real world, because they believe in this decentralized world and it works in this way as the Bitcoin white paper said it should work, but it doesn't quite apply like that in the real world, because you have
Hmm.
governments, you have regulators, you have other institutions, so
Correct.
you have to bring them together. So that's why I just said, okay, I'm going to specialize my practice in this, and this is how I'm going to do it. And that's how blockchain Lex came about.
Amazing. How can you give us an example on blockchain Lex Group? How did it navigate into the legal landscape, in the fintech and the Web3?
How it navigates. So essentially, regulatory compliance is a very big thing right now and has always been. There's always been bad actors. Whenever there's something new coming about, there's always people who want to take advantage of these things. There's data protection regulations. So when, let's say, blockchain is an engine that brings transparency and tamper resistance and all that, but as much as it's supposed to be a pseudonymous environment, how does privacy work? Probably somebody could associate transactions to a particular player because people of a particular caliber are only the ones who are able to move such coins. Let's say if you move
Hmm.
10,000 Bitcoin right now. So
Yes.
probably somebody could profile you. But then again, if you also want to, they call it obfuscate. So like wrap it up into privacy, then it becomes a problem with the regulators. Okay. And then
Hmm.
there's money laundering regulations or consumer protection issues, or when celebrities are endorsing a product and then it's a rug pull and then it just disappears after getting people's money. So there's all those sorts of issues,
Hmm.
and you need legal advice for that. There's another aspect called jurisdiction shopping. So
Yes.
because of regulatory arbitrage, you want,
Jurisdiction shopping? Huh.
yeah. So you want to go to a jurisdiction that's favorable for your business practices.
Uh-huh.
So let's say if England and Wales is a bit tight in terms of regulation, or the US is too tight with the
So
SEC and all that.
you would go, let's say, to offshore?
Exactly. You
Yeah.
want to go
Yeah.
offshore, but now you want to compare which offshore jurisdiction suits you best, because they also have their own nuances. So there's such things. So that's how I base my knowledge around this area. So within this gold rush and people wanting to go into innovation, I just
Hmm.
want to be the guy selling the buckets and the shovels to the gold rush. So like Levi Strauss, he made so much money selling jeans during the gold rush. So I just
Yes.
want to sell my legal services.
You know what? It's actually extremely needed, these legal services, in such times and such, evolution that we're going through.
Yeah.
And yes, with AI and blockchain and not just crypto and metaverse, it's all, virtual reality. We call it mixed reality. It's all coming
Yeah.
together. It's
Like right
all coming
now,
Web3. Yeah.
Yeah, like right now, the EU is launching the Artificial Intelligence Act. The UK is also planning to do that. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the EU or not, as long as it's interacting with clients or with nodes that are in the EU, you have to comply.
Yes.
And AI doesn't
Yes.
have to be like so advanced. You're looking at basics like ChatGPT and all that. So there's regulations that you have to comply with, but people don't know. So those are some of the services that we're offering as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brian, tell us about Crypto Mondays Caribbean.
Okay.
I'm intrigued about the name, the brand name.
So
I love the
crypto,
name.
yeah. So Crypto Mondays comes from a global community known as Crypto Mondays. One of the
Yeah.
founders is Joshua Lange. He's like
Hmm.
this professor who's just passionate about spreading knowledge. So he
Hmm.
created what you call a decentralized autonomous organization. So everybody who has a vision of spreading knowledge and everything comes under this umbrella group called Crypto Mondays. So
Hmm.
there's different chapters. It's a community of about 140,000 people globally. It's huge. And these are people who are enthusiasts, professionals, developers, like it's a mixed bunch. So we meet to connect, learn, and grow from each other.
Yeah.
So we have the best speakers in the world. You
Yes.
have the best talent in the world. What is an add-on? I know all other chapters do this, but in terms of empowering women, the Caribbean chapter is really, really focused on empowering women and children, because in that part of the world, it's not a developed world. Some of the islands are probably developed because they're offshoots of, let's say, England. They're still under
Yes.
English rule and all that, but it's still a developing region, and there's hunger and all that. And we are trying to apply the UN SDGs, the future development goals of the SDGs, the development goals of the UN.
Yes.
So we want to ensure, now for the Caribbean, we want to create a new economy. And this is how I put it: I want to create a new future with a new economy. So we empower people with education and we give them the tools and the knowledge to create wealth out of this. So think of like a Silicon Valley concept or whatever, but locally for the Caribbean, by the Caribbean, to solve their local issues. There's some countries in the Caribbean, they don't even have US dollars. Like before you send money from, let's say, Trinidad, for example, to send money from Trinidad to the US or to the UK, you have to wait for months on end for the banks to consider you, because the central bank is
Wow.
regulating how forex is being uh, moved, you know. So it's causing problems. So Crypto Mondays is about putting the Caribbean at par with the rest of the
Hmm.
world, the developed world, you know? So where people are using digital currency and all that, and they have things like hackathons and workshops, like people like Bitcoin and all of that are coming in. We are doing that in the Caribbean. We want to empower people in that part of the world, so that when they move and get scholarships to places like Oxford or the Ivy Leagues in the US, they're not like
Yeah.
deer in the headlight. Like, guys are with it, they're switched on, they know what's going on. And what's interesting is most of these companies are registered in the Caribbean region, in the BVI, in the Caymans, Bahamas,
Cayman
you know.
Island. All. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And the locals don't quite understand what's going on. So we want to develop the locals, empower them to be where it's at. So that's the vision for Blockchain Lex Group and Crypto Mondays. So
And
bring
you're
up.
able to sorry to interrupt. And you're able to practice on all of these islands.
Let me explain it. There's a nuance. So I can practice in any of the islands without further qualification. But
Amazing.
I have to, let's say, if there's a legal case, I
Yeah.
have to get like uh, rights of audience for the particular matter. So
But
I
can you
don't have
advise
to.
or consult? Can you advise or
Yes, I
consult, or is it
can
the same
advise
thing?
and consult. Yeah. So the
Amazing.
technicality is, so with the LEC qualification from the Caribbean Common the CLE, the Council of Legal Education, is it gives you the qualification to practice throughout the islands. But then now for each individual island, you just tell them, I don't need to go back to law school. I already have the qualification, but grant me rights to appear in your court for this matter. So there's that slight technicality.
Amazing. I love the idea of Crypto Mondays Caribbean. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Really pretty inspiring.
And
Yes.
it's grown. It's so huge. Like, we've had the best speakers. By next month, we'll have clocked 24 speakers. We launched in June. We're on our second event this month, so we'll be at 16 speakers, like world-renowned experts. Next month, we'll be clocking 24, and it keeps going and going and going. You know, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, what are the future aspiration and project in the realm of law, technology, and education?
Wow, that's a very good question. But I think they develop jointly, but
Hmm.
at the same time, they can develop separately. So, and that's why we are looking at it from developing it jointly, so that when people are seeing it and wanting to amplify it individually, the roots are already strong. So our vision or our desire is for people to understand that innovation applies in a real world. And for it to apply in a real world, there has to be awareness through edtech. And for you to be business ready, there
Hmm.
has to be that regulatory aspect. Because let's say FTX, it was a big company, but they didn't follow regulations. Or Binance, they didn't follow regulations. So there's this attitude of, go on, F up, forgive my language, F up, ask for forgiveness later. That's
Hmm.
how in people in the tech industry go about things. But we are trying to show them, okay, uh, regulation is a bit slow. It hardly catches up with tech, but don't just think you're going to do this thing as if the real world doesn't exist. So in our projects, in our workshops, Crypto Mondays, and our hackathons, we're actually launching a hackathon in the Caribbean in September towards the end. And we want to give a whole complete package for people to know these three things work together. Yeah.
Amazing. Um, is there, Brian, is there anything that you're working on, upcoming project for our listeners and viewers and your followers to kind of say, hey, be on a lookout, something coming up or going on next month or the month after, beside the hackathons you're working on in September and all
Yeah.
of that?
So we have a major project coming up next year.
Oh,
I,
please
I, I don't
share.
think I don't think I should mention it right now because we're still in discussions with potential sponsors and stakeholders. But it's literally bringing the three elements I said, bringing it together. Okay,
Very interesting. Uh-huh.
and it's for women of all ages and the youth. Okay, because the industry is full of guys and guys know how to find their way around things. So we want to help the people who have a disadvantage in getting there. So women and young people, and we want to give young people direction. So we're going to have the hackathons as
Absolutely.
well. They'll be running
Actually,
simultaneously.
I might join that. My company, Innovate, is a big advocate for women in tech and young entrepreneurs. So I think probably Innovate Tech
We
will
should have
get
a
involved.
conversation after this, Bob.
Absolutely,
You'll probably be
absolutely,
one of the
absolutely.
future sponsors. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah, so we're
absolutely,
going to
Brian.
have our hackathons, we're going to have ongoing Crypto Mondays, and at the same time, Blockchain Lex will be there selling its legal services and training services as well, because we just want this whole thing. We just want to complete the whole picture, and
Hmm.
don't just know the Caribbean for a good time, nice beaches and the sun and all that, but we are also technical and innovative and all that. And I'm actually not
Well,
Caribbean. I just love the Caribbean so much. I'm from
who
Kenya.
doesn't? Who doesn't love the Caribbean? We all do. We all do. But listen, I have to say, your way of thinking is outside the box and extremely innovative. So this should be an example, and an example, not just an example. I would say also aspiring. Somebody to look up to, and for whoever watches this episode from our viewers and listeners and your followers and fans. You know, that you'll motivate and gonna inspire other people to say, hey, look at Brian, how he put
Yeah,
his whole thing together. He thought out of the box and he did it. He was a doer. He wasn't just somebody dreaming. He dreamed and he put his dream into action and put it forward and just said, hey, I'm doing it. You're an
yeah,
attorney, you involved in tech, involved in crypto, involved in all anything that all of this innovative era, I would call
yeah.
it innovative tech era that we're in right now. You're pretty much involved, heavily involved in
Yeah.
it,
Thank
and
you
your
very
thinking
much.
is always outside the box.
And what
Uh,
I'd like to say before you wrap up is the press has a role to play in this. Media, whatever they are as the fourth estate, is this. They
yeah,
focus on the negative so much, and the governments as well and regulators as well, they tend to focus on the negative so much. They're trying to focus on the trading and the in the Bitcoin community we call it hodling, like on the hodling it to play the market. This revolution is not about that. There's so much more. There's the utility aspect, like things like provenance. NFT records can be used to hold records. Like, you probably won't even need a passport at some point, because if you have it all digitally and you go and it just creates this new future. Like, you asked me, Brian, do you
yeah,
still carry your records? I don't carry records anymore. It's all in a laptop. So why should you be carrying like three passports if your passports are all full, or medical
yes,
records? When you go to a hospital, you have to start your history over and over again, when it can all be on a secure chain somewhere with a way. Because you see, the technology is so nuanced. You can have the blockchain with the smart contracts and something you call zero knowledge proofs that plays around with the confidentiality aspect, whereby you can still control your privacy without it being taken over by a central party. Yeah, so there's so much that can happen. So let's just build a future that can work together well in terms of regulatory compliance and innovation and awareness. And that's what we're here to do at Blockchain Lex Group and Crypto Mondays Caribbean. So log on to
Amazing.
blockchainlex.io and holler at us.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say, Brian, thank you for joining us today on
Thank you, Bob.
Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech. And definitely you fit the bill. You are an entrepreneur in the tech and the legal side. We're going to need to add legal to that. Uh, be sure to connect with us on social media. Until next time, keep innovating and stay curious and think outside the box like Brian did. Take care.
Yes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share Innovate Presents Entrepreneurs in Tech podcast. And if you're joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.